Okay, everybody. Hope no one didn't break any eardrums or anything with that, but it's time to get started. In fact, we're about 5 minutes late, but I want to do something before the actual meeting, and that is to introduce a very special guest and very special person that's in the audience. And Kelly, you know what? How about you introduce her, okay? Well, would she disappear?
Yeah, she must have. Sorry.
Well,
Foundation board member.
yes.
Oh, Lynn.
Lynn
Great.
Perrick was here and as a member of the foundation board. And I say that the very special person because they do wonders, the foundation for this institution, and promoting it, raising funds, they do a super job. And please let her know that if she comes back. Somebody is saying they can't hear me. Nathan, are we on?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay, now we got
Now
it.
we can hear you.
Okay. Should I do that again?
No.
No, okay. All right, so anyway, please, Kelly, make sure that she knows that we definitely appreciate her and the rest of the board. So with that, I will call a meeting of the Ames Community College Board of Trustees to order. And let's all stand and together salute the flag. I pledge of allegiance
To the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, everybody. For those of you that are standing out in the hall, aren't there seats back there that you could get into if you chose to? Okay, anyway, moving right along. Approval of the agenda. Members of the board, you've had a chance to review that and see what's there. Any corrections, additions, whatever?
I
Is
move
there-
approval of the agenda as presented.
Okay, thank you, Carol.
I'll
Is there a
second
second? Okay, thank you, Lyle, or I think it was Lyle.
Yep.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. That motion has carried. Now we're at public comment, and I understand we do have some public comment. Timothy?
Good afternoon. Yes, we have a few public comments here. First person I'd like to invite up is Lena Sandoval, and I believe she has some people who are just going to stand around her as she does her presentation.
Okay. All right. Welcome, Lena and company.
Hi, my name is Lena Sandoval. I'm a campus activities programmer, and I just have a comment I'd like to share. On behalf of the 2018-2019 Campus Activities Programming Board, I would like to present you with this small token of appreciation for your service to Ames Community College. This is for Board Member Ruckel.
Oh.
So this is for you, sorry. More specifically, the student programming board members would like to thank you for your support to the activities created, planned, and presented to students. Your respect for approaching student success from a holistic perspective was evident by your presence at the student programs, and it made our team and the work we do feel valued. We hope that after your term of service to the Board of Trustees has concluded, that you will continue to attend the student activities. With deepest gratitude, we thank you, the Campus Activities Programming Board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Lena. Timothy?
Our next person who'd like to speak is Marcia Schaefer. She's the director of RSVP, and she'll be flanked by a number of her members as well.
Okay. Marcia, welcome.
Thank you.
And I don't want to be a curmudgeon, but we got to get out here about 4 o'clock, so, okay.
Thanks, Marcia.
No, that wasn't wasn't a threat or anything, or just a reminder. Uh-oh.
First of all, I want to thank all of you for allowing us these few minutes to talk about RSVP of Weld County, which is a volunteer program for those who are 55 and older. I'd like to introduce those who came in support. This is Nancy Robinson. She is our volunteer coordinator for our Reading Partners program that we work with districts throughout the county in providing mentoring and tutoring and classroom assistance through 8 different districts in our county. This is Susan Collins. She is the professor at the University of Northern Colorado briefly, and she handles all of our results from our programs that we send out surveys for. And Susan, sorry, I just went blank. This is Sherry Lodemeyer. She is with the Recreational Department for the City of Greeley. Michael Buckley is with 50 Plus Marketplace, and he does a lot of our advertising and does articles for us about what we're doing in the county. Oh my gosh. And we have several volunteers who build ramps for us. Don Janetta is the coordinator for our shop program that does handrails and ramps for those who are handicapped and homebound. Jerry France is right next to him, along with Mike. And this is J.R. Salas with the City of Greeley, who is coordinating with us for funding for those ramps for those who are low income in the City of Greeley, and provides approximately, anywhere between 5 and 10 ramps funding so that we can continue that program. For those of you who may not know it, RSVP was sponsored by the University of Northern Colorado through March 31st. We are a federally funded program through CNCS, which is a national corporation for community service. For those of you who don't know anything about that particular funding, you may have heard of AmeriCorps or AmeriVista. Believe it or not, we are Senior Corps. We are those who are over 55 who volunteer in our community. Last year alone, we provided almost 84,000 hours of volunteer time in the whole county of Weld, and it's valued at a federal level at about $1.8 million, $1,800,000. In order for those particular agencies, because we work with approximately 67 agencies throughout the county, and provide them volunteer services with our volunteers who volunteer. We have approximately 730 volunteers, and I have provided you a packet with information about the costs, the programs we do, what some of our outcomes are in terms of how many students we help, how many ramps we build, we do a grocery program in which we provide groceries in the Greeley and Evans area for those who are homebound. I have about 5 volunteers who are over 80 who actually take the messages and take the grocery orders. And I have 2 drivers who are over 75 who deliver those groceries. We have approximately 730 volunteers, of which about 650 are actively involved in the county. We are asking for your sponsorship in order to assume and continue this program. We are working, all of us up here are volunteers for RSVP, including myself as the director at this point in time. We are hoping to continue this program. It has been around for 46 years. We'd like to continue this program with your sponsorship in keeping it possible. One of the fastest growing areas in Weld County for seniors over the age of 55. Weld County is considered the 3rd largest, fastest growing elder population, senior population in the state. We are expected to grow by 30%. Baby boomers are aging in at 10,000 a day, and so we'd like to continue. One of the things I would like to point out, Are you timing me? But one of the things I would like to point out is those who volunteer stay healthier longer. They get involved with the community. We provide volunteers at our nutrition sites, 23 of them, at about 400 volunteers serving lunches, cleaning up, and so forth. And those are the programs that we really want to keep going and provide. I do want to point out one thing. We actually work with AIMS. We provide volunteers for your paramedics program. And in fact, I just got a call yesterday asking for the paramedics, the UNC nursing program that has a program providing patients for their experiential event they do in June. And they called me again, and my volunteers just love doing that. I have one volunteer who has done all the elements that they asked for, and they just love him, and he just keeps coming up with all the things that are wrong, so he's actually lived them, and so he's really excited about being this particular patient for the nurses and for the paramedics. So I want to thank you for your time and help your consideration in this, with this position. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Marcia. We will certainly consider your request, and we're getting some, okay.
There are no other comments at this time,
Okay,
sir.
all right. Well, again, thank you, RSVP. And incidentally, I'm a volunteer myself, so I do know a little bit about your program. Any further, Timothy?
That's all.
Was that all the cards?
Okay, that's all.
That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. And once again, members, you've had an opportunity to review it. So is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I would so move.
Thank you, Jean.
Second.
Thank you, Carol. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the consent agenda indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion has carried. Now, representatives to the board. Student government? Nope. Here we are. You've been up here before.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, good afternoon.
It's my last one, so kind of sad and exciting at the same
Well, you
time.
better make it good.
Well, I would like to start by introducing the new SGA Executive Board for the 2019 and 2020 academic year, and we are very excited for them and for the great things that we'll be doing next year. And then we also like to introduce the CUP members. So I will give you their names, and then I'll ask them to stand up. So the president for next year is going to be Chris Warren. The executive VP of Finance is going to be Matt Gomez. VP of Academic Affairs is Michaela Foster. VP of SACE is Terry Adams. VP of Facilities and Operations, Anessa Flores. And VP of Public Relations is Kirsten Perry. And for CAP, we have Greeley Programming Assistant for Wellness, Alyssa. Greeley Programming Assistant for Sexual Health, we have Megan. Greeley General Programming Assistants, we have, Abby Navad. I'm bad at my names. Hannah and Maria. And then we have Loveland Programming Assistant, Ashley. For Lupton, Programming Assistant will be Colton. And Windsor Programming Assistant is Rebecca. So if you guys can stand up if you're here. Thank you. Okay. So before I go, I'd like to thank you all for being supportive of SGA and for all that you have allowed us to do this year. I'd also like to thank Dr. Weisgaber for being so good to us and super supportive. I would also like to thank Beckett Herman for being an excellent advisor as well. as Shannon for stepping in and helping us continue our work. And last but not least, I would like to thank Trish Rand for all the support I have received during my time here as a nursing student. As you might know, or may not know, I will be graduating next week. With my ADN in nursing, and I don't think I would have been able to do that if it wasn't because of an excellent instructors I've had here at Ames throughout my entire time, and it does make a huge difference. I am a non-traditional student, kind of not old but older, 26. I'm also I've been in the Army Reserves for 9 years now, and Ames have been great at accommodating that plus school plus everything else. And I really don't think many schools do that anymore. And I would like to really thank everyone for that. And my time here at Ames have been full of growth, made amazing friendships, learned so much. And because of the outstanding education I have received here, I hope you never have to go to the hospital, but if you do, you will be in great hands. I have never imagined that we would have accomplished so much in such a short amount of time. It has been an honor to not only be part of the Ames community, but part of SGA. I have learned so much. One of the things I've learned was leadership skills that I think I will forever use in my career. Ames have been nothing but a blessing, and I truly appreciate how hard you guys work to make this work. And you make it possible. Even though it's bittersweet for me, happy because, I'm going to be done and no more night shifts and coming back to school and all that crazy stuff. But I love my Ames family so much, and I'm excited what I'm going to do next, which my plan is to eventually become a U.S. Army trauma nurse and finish my BSN and then potentially my master's in nursing. And maybe someday become a nurse educator, instructor, and come back to Ames to give it back to all the students. So,
That's good.
yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you and good luck to you. And for all of you new officers of the association, you got really big shoes to fill following her. So good luck to you, everybody. Okay, now, where are we? Faculty Association. Brooke.
Good afternoon. I actually wanted to start by saying thank you to Board Member Ruckel also. I saw you at the Spring Out with all of the activities that we had going around on campus. I think we chatted for a few minutes. And again, I just wanted to share the sentiment that we really appreciate having you on campus and seeing the board members out and enjoying all of the activities we have going on and speaking with students and faculty members. So thank you for that. We appreciate you. Today, I have a few art exhibits to tell you about, some music performances, and we also elected our new board, the AFA did for next year, so I have our members here today too. To begin, instructor of art Victoria Lisi is being featured in Artists Magazine. She painted a painting called Three of a Kind. Instructor of art Johanna Muller, actually I think it's Muller, has a current show at the Toynton Art Gallery. I put the link in your packet there if you wanted to check it. It's beautiful, isn't it? She does wonderful work. So that is, you have a link that you can check out there if you'd like to look at her work. And then this week and last week, Professor of Music Rick Busen, Dr. Rick Busen, and other instructors of music, Stephanie Baker, Darlene Mueller, and Ivanka Munkin, all did our music performances for our end of the semester performances. It takes an entire semester of work to get those going. So I wanted to thank them and let you know. Today is the last recital right after this meeting, 4 p.m. If you wanted to go check out the voice recital, it's in the Ed Beatty Theater. Just add more things to your day. But so that's going on this evening. Community involvement, I have instructor of art Dan Augenstein again on here. Dan, in March, ended up working with Charlotte Lloyd, who is a generous donor from the area, and she gave us a gift of framing equipment and materials so that Dan can show his students how to properly frame and present their work. So not only is he the art instructor showing them and giving them tools and everything for the artwork, but now he's also helping them to be able to frame their work, which is above and beyond what we expect of him. So thank you to Dan. Conferences, we had the e-learning consortium of Colorado in Breckenridge on April 17th through the 19th. Many of our full-time faculty members attended this and learned a little bit more about best practices in teaching online courses. We will all be discussing that as the future goes on here. All right, moving on. Acknowledgements and awards. AFA, we elected our new board for the year 2019-2020. If you want to stand up, that would be great. If not, that's okay. We are keeping our president, Professor of English and Humanities, Allison Easley. The Chair of Construction Management, John Mangan, will continue as our Vice President. Professor of English, Leslie Morrison, will continue on as Secretary. Professor of CIS, Grayson Brown, will be our Treasurer. I'm around again, Professor of Music, so I will be here for faculty rep for another year, and we have a new person on the roster. So Francie Rotini is leaving us, but we have Mark Moody here. I put on our packet that he's a professor of chemistry. I am wrong. I apologize. He is a professor of geography and GIS. So Mark Moody will be our new bot rep for faculty, if you can wave so you know who he is. There we go. All right, and then I think Allison Easley and John Mangan are here, if you just want to wave maybe. That's our president and vice president in the back hiding. That's cool. There we go. All right. Then I'd like to end today on a really interesting opportunity that we had to work with several different departments together. And that is 13 students from adult education and ESL were funded to take the AAA 109 course this spring from a Hansen grant. So Michael Peterson and his team helped the students through the process of enrollment as well as transitioning in. Then instructor of ESL, Alyssa Skousen, brought multiple students to get comfortable in the classroom. They got to meet their instructor, see where it is that they'll be meeting all of the time, learn about class, what to expect before they even had their first day of classes. Then Denise Pearson, who is our professor of AAA, took over and helped to create a community in the class. She facilitated instruction, learning key skills for college, showing them what college resources they have should they need anything. And apparently this group has excelled and it was incredibly successful. So we're hoping to see this again in the future. And that's all I have for you today. Enjoy your summer. We'll see you again in August. Thank you.
Glad to see that there are several folks that want to continue in the officers. That's a good sign, I think. Okay, student representative. I'm sorry, staff. Okay. Well, I was close.
You were
Renee,
close.
I
They
know
both
that.
start with an
Yeah,
S.
Okay, Amy?
All right. This month, we hosted our annual staff appreciation event and had a breakfast this year. We had a build your own taco bar from Fuzzy's Tacos, and we had 93 staff members who attended. We watched 3 motivational and inspirational videos and had 28 icebreaker questions to encourage people to network and get to know each other better. We did a survey after the breakfast was over, and 100% of the respondents were either satisfied or very satisfied with the overall event, the time of day, and the location of the event, and 95% were either satisfied or very satisfied with the food. So it went really well. Yes, food's always good, right? But it was a really good event. It was a great opportunity to bring people together so that they get to know each other. Maybe people that don't get to work together every day, see each other every day. It's a great opportunity to allow folks to do that. This month there were 9 ripples, and I would like to highlight the ripple for Kelly Richardson. Kelly is a senior advisor in SAIL and was nominated by Lena Sandoval, a student ambassador. Kelly has been a great mentor to me and guides me with her insight and information from her experience. Kelly demonstrates confidence and leadership. She provides me with advice when I ask for it, encourages me not to give up, and always wants me to achieve my goals. She works with me to make sure I achieve them and have the resources I need. Kelly challenges me to think outside of the box and utilize my critical thinking skills. I admire and respect Kelly, and I'm so glad to be a part of her team. And that's all I have for today. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Always good to hear how the students are doing. It's wonderful. So, okay, let's see. Moving right along. Item 7 is President's Report. Dr. Bernstein, you're on.
Great, thank you. We're going to start with Excellence at Ames, and I would like to invite Greg and Linda Robbins up to the podium. And Kelly. So
Well,
Kelly,
she's
take it
coming
away.
Anyway, whether she's invited or not.
I'll introduce, and then they get to tell their story. So good afternoon, trustees and Dr. Bornstein. This month, we hear from a legacy couple, both who are Ames alum. It's exciting and such a pleasure to hear firsthand how Ames has made an impact in their lives and what a change that did for them. Today, I introduce Greg and Linda Robbins, who will share their story of impact.
Welcome.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thanks
Really
for coming.
appreciate that. Yeah, so Kelly asked us to kind of speak and kind of tell how Ames, has been influential in my life and Linda's, I believe. She took some classes here at Ames in business and few
Yeah,
things.
not any, I just took random classes.
Yeah, but anyway, I actually completed a degree here, an Associate of Arts degree in 2006, I believe. And I just want to say I'm honored to be able to speak here today because, I believe so highly in Ames, and I've always just had a real appreciation for the opportunity because I didn't go to school, to college when I was younger like people usually do. So I'm a non-traditional student, an older non-traditional student.
45.
45 is when I went to school. And so, it was a challenge and it was scary. And I didn't know how to speak or anything like that. I mean, I was scared to speak in front of one person, let alone 200 or 300 students or something like that. But, with Linda's encouragement, I began attending classes. I first took a career development class, try and help me figure out kind of what I wanted to do. It gave me ideas, but I didn't really know, and I thought maybe engineering or possibly social work, and wasn't real sure. But I knew that I didn't have to decide because I was here to get a general education degree to go on from there. And so I was, let's see.
He didn't even know how to turn on a computer
right.
when he started school at
I was
45 years old.
45. So, I really didn't go to school years ago because I didn't think I could do it. I thought, I can't go to college. That's for smart people, and but Linda encouraged me and I said, yeah, okay, let's do it. And so I went to 2 years here, and once I started taking classes, I realized that, wow, I could really do this. And I felt like all of a sudden I'm getting A's and I'm doing great, and I end up graduating with a 3.86 GPA.
Wonderful.
Thank you. And it really it got me really psyched and pumped. And I went on from here and went over to CSU, got a degree in social work over there. And then I didn't want to stop then either, and so came back to UNC here, and did 5 years of master's studies in clinical counseling, with an emphasis on couple and family therapy. And just due to an unfortunate incident, I wasn't able to actually get my degree, even though I completed every class. But I still had excelled just the same through that. And when it came to that point, I had to really ask myself, like, what do I do now? I've just spent 10 years going to school and to better myself, to get this master's degree that I was working on, and I didn't get the master's degree. And the more I thought about it, the more I really come to grips with the fact that it's all up here. Everything I've learned, that's what was important, is everything I gained and everything that's done to make me where I am today. Linda and I work in real estate now. We're a real husband and wife team for Sears Real Estate. And we, I use it every single day, and just really appreciate all that, that opportunity has led me to do, because I wouldn't be anywhere near this point if it hadn't been for Ames Community College.
All right.
Anything else?
No, it brought him out of his shell. Yep.
This little lovely lady stood beside me all the way, and I thank her for that. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Always appreciate good
Thank you,
success
Greg and Linda.
stories.
It's very important for all of us, not just the board, but also those of us that are in the audience, to hear your stories. So we really appreciate you taking the time to do that. And the reason it's important is because it helps us to stay focused on what our core mission is. It's all about learning, and it's all about the students. And so we really appreciate you. I have a couple of thank you gifts for you that I'm going to make my way over there in a second, as soon as I introduce Dr. Rothamer to come on up and give his Executive Vice President report. So thank you again.
I don't think he needs an introduction.
Nope.
That could be good or bad.
Well, we'll see in a little bit.
Chairman Peterson, members of the board, Dr. Bornstein, thank you very much for the time to give an update on the work that we're doing around concurrent enrollment. And I know we had a work session that was presented earlier this morning that gave a little bit more detail. And one of the things I want to acknowledge was a very insightful question that you all asked during that presentation was the significant growth that we're seeing in concurrent enrollment, is it sustainable? And I know we discussed that a little bit this morning, but what I wanted to highlight for you, and really what you have in your board packet, and I'm just going to touch on a couple of those pieces, is when the Higher Learning Commission came to review Ames Community College and the work that we're doing, they did recognize one of our opportunities for improvement was around our concurrent enrollment. And the monitoring report that my update is sharing with you was around the concurrent enrollment and what we've done to address kind of the question that you asked earlier, that HLC asked, is really what we're doing to the level it should be, and can we continue it and can we sustain it? So in particular, that report was looking for documentation about how Ames will ensure program course quality, rigor, consistency of learning outcomes, and expectations of student learning. And that, as we've heard from our Excellence at Ames reports, that's really about what we're doing, and we have to make sure that we are able to ensure that. So what I wanted to highlight for you is just a couple of pieces within the college response that is in your packet. And so first, a work group was identified about our opportunities for improvement, and really for when we do continuous improvement, how do we create those systemic processes that it doesn't matter who's in what role, that they are institutionalized, and we know that as we move forward, that we will continue that good work and always looking to continuously improve. So we've identified those processes. Part of that was looking at updating the faculty observation form, which was reviewed and updated, and also a lot of those observations that Dr. Strauss talked about earlier today happened, and got a lot of great feedback, and actually very much assured us that what's happening in the high schools in concurrent enrollment, they are Ames College classes, and by doing these observations, we know that those instructors are doing an amazing job. The students are meeting those learning outcomes, and we feel very confident of what we're doing in our concurrent enrollment. In addition, we had the systemic processes created to review all of our syllabi to ensure compliance with the master course. So it doesn't matter where you're taking it at any of the Ames sites or in those 45 high schools we talked about. We know that those syllabi match, the learning outcomes are there, and also the assessment pieces are happening. So again, that assurance that not only that we can share with HLC, but feel comfortable as an organization of the quality and rigor that's happening within those classes. And then finally, we had a consultant and team prioritize additional areas of continuous improvement, because as good as we are in what we're doing, we know that we can always be better. Are there any questions that I can answer for you regarding the HLC monitoring report?
Okay, on the test scores that occur in high schools versus the test scores for the same coursework at the college, are they pretty much the same, A, B, C, or D, whatever?
Yes, and what we can do is have some specific additional data that will be able to demonstrate that. As I reported last month during this, we're working on some dashboards and things that will be able to be very transparent with that information.
Okay.
So in terms of pass rates and those other aspects, I
Yeah,
think.
just how, if it's the same syllabi, how's
Yep.
the test scores? Are they relatively the same and
Yes.
stuff like that?
Yep, we feel very confident of that. And the other good part in that measure, we know that students, when they come from high school and are coming to Ames, that they're succeeding at just as high of a rate or a higher rate than our students that start at Ames. So the learning that's happening at college level in the high schools at that age is verified.
Thank you.
Is that, excuse me, is that also to say that if the same course were taught here on campus, then they would get the same, use the same syllabi and so on, that it'd be the same class, period?
Correct. Yeah, we always look at those learning outcomes and then that consistency across. And certainly the instructors have that ability to teach it in their own style and their own voice and their own approach. But part of that whole assessment piece is to ensure that if you're taking the intro to psychology class, doesn't matter what area, that you come out of those with those same learning outcomes mastered that you would no matter where you're taking it.
Good. I think that makes sense.
Very much so.
Yeah.
How about the sustainability of it, keeping up with the growth?
So those system.
I hope
yeah.
I'm not
No.
because if it keeps growing at 6 to 8%.
And that is one of the things that we have to look at, and that's why we have those systemic processes that we want to institutionalize. So as we look at that growth and really the direction that we want to go, we cannot do that growth if we're unwilling to make sure that it's the same quality and rigor, because they are Ames Community College classes. What we currently have set up, we can absolutely maintain what we're doing. As we look at that growth, we're going to need to look at how we potentially reallocate resources or look at additional resources, because we have to maintain that quality and that rigor. It's not just about the
So we might
growth.
have to slow the student participation up if we're getting weak or we're not capable. Am I
Well,
correct?
so I would submit that we will absolutely be capable of doing that. And
Okay.
because of the strength of the teams that we have involved, that we'll be able to see that growth and adjust to that to ensure that we have quality programs.
By adding staff or whatever the
Correct.
needs are.
Yep.
Thank you. That's
Thank
great.
you. That's
Any
my
oth-
report for the Executive Vice President.
Okay. Would you like to roll into academic affairs report?
I can, thank you very much. So as I've typically been doing, I've kind of been giving you the theme of the month, and what I'd like to do is continue with what we talked a little bit about this morning with concurrent enrollment and some of the statistics that you heard regarding the success of our program. So you heard about Early College Academy and the success of those students, and also about a medical prep in terms of comparing our graduation rates versus either state or national, and how our students and our faculty are excelling. So what I wanted to share with you today is examples around those particular themes. And as some of you in the audience might know me, sometimes I do a good job following directions, other times I do not. So this is going to be one of those times where I was maybe asked to not to do something, but I'm going to include it, and I'll get to that point in a second. So I'm just making somebody in the
Okay, I'm getting nervous
I know,
now.
right? So the first thing I wanted to share with you is I had the honor to be invited and to attend a celebration recognition event Friday night for our Tax Help Colorado. And I know we've given a couple of updates during board meetings about how it was progressing. And what I wanted to share with you is that in the top in the state of 1,265 returns filed, which was 19.5% of the entire state for Tax Help Colorado, and then a total of almost $2.5 million in returns that group processed. But what I wanted to share with that is how did we get there? And this is the part that I might get in trouble. Yeah, she's shaking her head. Gina Jones is our faculty member in the business and technology area who led this initiative. And when you talk about just those numbers, there's a lot behind that. And what I wanted to share with you regarding that, in order to accomplish that, there was 21 student volunteers, 9 community volunteers, and almost 2,000 volunteer hours. One student volunteered 106 hours, which qualifies them for the U.S. Presidential Service Recognition, a letter of recognition from the governor, and also a letter of recognition from Dr. Bornstein. Another 6 volunteered over 50 hours, and then another 6 volunteered over 40 hours. So I just wanted to truly share the magnitude of what it takes to do that, and then just give that special recognition and acknowledgement. So thank you. That wasn't too bad, right?
Well, I don't know, Gina was shaking her head and turning all red, so.
All right, so, and keeping on with that theme, the other one I wanted to share with you from the business and technology area, in particular agriculture, is the National Collegiate Dairy Products Evaluation Contest, which was held in Madison, Wisconsin. And I wanted to recognize Amy McFarland, who we've also talked about in leading some of those initiatives. So we had 4 Ames students participate, had one of the highest finishes ever in that contest by an Ames student. And what's really special about this, Ames Community College is the only 2-year institution invited to this contest. Really? The rest of the institutions were 4-year universities. And let me just list some of those because you might recognize some of the names, especially in the agriculture area. So Tennessee, Clemson, Penn State, University of Wisconsin, Michigan State, Cornell, Cal Poly, Minnesota, among others. And of course, Ames Community College. Woo-hoo! So again, phenomenal.
That's pretty heady company.
Yep, and we're right up there with them. So it just shows you again the excellence that we have at Ames. The next one I wanted to share with you, I know it was in our Ames Daily, but it's also one of those things I think it's worth mentioning again, is that the Daniels Fund Ethics Initiative was inspired as a case competition for community colleges in northern Colorado. Ames business students earned 2nd place honors for the 2nd year in a row. And this year's team, it was Precision Consulting, consisted 4 of our students, and it was led by 2 of our part-time faculty members. So I wanted to acknowledge those students and also thank those faculty members for those initiatives. And then wanted to congratulate Dr. Rand, as well as the Director of Nursing, Robin Neving, as well as all of our allied health faculty, staff, and students. And I'm just going to read to you a little couple of sentences that at its March 2019 meeting, the Accreditation Commission for Education and Nursing, or ACEN, granted continuing accreditation to the Associate Nursing Program as the program is in compliance with all accreditation standards and criteria. So incredible amount of work, and again, highlights the great work that those teams do for our students. And as we've heard from our student government and kind of a representative what it's meant to her. So thank you to those teams as well. Okay, and last but not least, a recent update that just came in for those of you, Trustee Hout and Ruckel, who attended the Aardvark Fun Run on Saturday. We had 213 registered participants, which included 30 students. We had 32 volunteers, 21 participating sponsors. And one of the things I wanted to say when I saw Trustee Hout when he came in, I almost didn't recognize. He's sporting the same shirt he had on Saturday, but he was also, sporting the Arties on his arms, and so it was very recognizable that day. But most importantly,
for attention.
but most importantly, that event raised $5,165.67 for our Student Scholarship Fund. So I appreciate everyone their support in putting that on. That is my update for this month.
Okay.
Thank you.
Could you tell us how he did in the run?
Me?
Next to last, maybe, or
I laid
did
down,
he
I didn't
finish?
run. I had to run back up to Breckenridge.
Yeah, I would point out that Trustee Hout drove down from a family vacation in Breckenridge that morning so that he could be here for the opening of the fun run, and then drove back to rejoin his family. I think that's really above and beyond.
That for sure is.
I want to know if you drove with the aardvarks on your arms, but maybe we don't want to know.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jensen, would you like to come up and give us an administrative services update, please?
And I will follow all the rules. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Bornstein, you have before you the budget report as of March 31st, 2019. And as always, continue to report that we are in good stand in our budget. On our revenue categories, again, as we finish out the fiscal year end here, we anticipate we'll be on track for our budget for tuition. We still have some summer tuition that will be recorded here in the next couple of months. Fees and other charges, again, come in strong due to our enrollment and our aviation program enrollment. Again, state appropriations, that'll come in at 100%, maybe a little bit higher. And of course, our property taxes continue to be strong. And as always, our interest income continues to exceed our budget because of the strong market for our investments. And I always like to mention our other revenue, which is our royalties. To date, or this fiscal year, we've brought in $2.1 million. Of that, 2.5 is royalties. And overall, since we started receiving royalties on our new oil wells a number of months ago, we brought in $3.3 million in royalties. So that's always a fun update to have on that revenue side of things. On the expenditure side, I don't have anything to alert the board to as far as any issues that we're concerned with. We continue to be on track for our budget and anticipate fully as we go to the fiscal year end here on June 30th that we won't have any budget concerns or issues that we'll need to report to the board. So with that, I will stand for any questions on the budget here. And of course, later in the action items, we have the action item on next year's budget. But any questions on this year's budget report or this month's budget report?
Members, any questions?
No.
Okay, I'll head
Looks
into,
like you're good.
very good. I'll head into some highlights for the division. You may have noticed that we've now sodded our entrances. So that's
Yay.
that looks really nice out there as that project is now wrapping up. Our ATTC third floor, our hangar renovation, and our Fort Lupton welding project are still all on track for fall semester. Our data center is scheduled to change over May 17th through the 19th, so that's when we'll be changing from the old center to the new center. All the wires get pulled over and cooked in, and that's about my extent of knowledge on that. Take this wire and pull it from here and put it in. It's a little more complicated than that, isn't it, Brad? But something like that. But that's scheduled for May 17th to the 19th. Again, very exciting as we transfer over to that new data center and what that means for the safety and security of our data systems here on campus.
I hope that Brad's going to be involved. I mean,
I think so.
you're not responsible, are you? Okay, all right.
No, I just get the text when it's done. That's, no. Also within our IT department, we are in the middle of the renovation of the office area for IT, and that again will be scheduled to be on track and occupied this fall. Our CDL lot down at our Fort Lupton campus is in design, and we anticipate construction to start in the fall on that. Also at Fort Lupton, the sign will be in place by fall semester and operating. So that's a couple updates for Fort Lupton.
And it's big.
And it's big. Yes.
Yes.
Big.
It is. It's big. Yes.
At least 2 inches.
The College Center and the Welcome Center program project continues. We're, of course, knee-deep in design now, programming design for that project. We are still scheduled early spring to turn dirt on that, so that project continues to be on track. A little update on that right now. We have received, we had an RFP for general contractors. We had 10 submit RFPs. We are reviewing those and anticipate, or we'll have schedules for our contractors May 13th to the 14th. Mike hopes to have on the contractor by early June. So that things will really start moving along then when we get the contractor on board. A couple other items from the division. Our financial audit kicked off today with the audit committee report, or the audit committee meeting with the auditor. And so again, that's our yearly financial audit, and we anticipate that to go well, of course. And last update from the division is just a quick mention that our ERP assessment, that's our banner system, our administrative system. We've been in the process of an assessment of that. We are inviting 4 vendors to campus the week of May 20th to review new products that are out there on the market. Again, that's just one more step in our assessment of what we feel will be best moving forward in our ERP project here on campus. So that is some of the quick updates from the division.
Okay. Questions, members?
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Looks like you're good to go.
Oh, when's Mike's meetings on planning? He's having open forum meetings?
Yeah.
It's the last Wednesday of every month from 1 to
Okay, except during the summer, or is it just? All the way through? Last Wednesday, okay, thank you.
Mr. Ullman, Vice President for Community and College Relations, would you like to give us an update on what's going on in CCR?
I would be delighted. We've got a lot going on in CCR because we serve the college and our surrounding communities here. And kind of leading the pack there is our satellite campuses, and they are setting a fast pace. Fort Lupton, well, they're proud to announce that Elisa Garcia, Fort Lupton student, distinguished scholar, and the commencement speaker just received a full ride Dreamers USA scholarship.
Yes, absolutely.
And she will be, yes indeed. And she'll be attending Metro State. And then here's just a fun fact for Fort Lupton. 40% of the Ames Distinguished Scholars this academic year are Fort Lupton students. They're doing some great stuff out there. And then on May 11th is the Bueno Camp reunion, and they're anticipating several hundred alumni that are going to be there. Wow. And I'll talk more about that in just a little bit. At Loveland, they hosted their spring art show this past April on the 12th there. I had the privilege to go and see the artwork of Amelia Furman and talk with her a bit. Just kind of a unique approach, but really interesting and enjoyable artwork. So if you have an opportunity to go out there and just to take a look at it, enjoy it, please do. And then let's see, what else do they have there? Oh, on the same day, the Loveland community participated in a family fun run for the trees. And then an initiative that Heather has done, she's the campus executive director. She does a dine with the director. And what it is she invites students to come and basically have lunch with her, have dinner with her, and she just solicits, what's been your Ames experience here? And so she's found that to be very valuable, so you get some really good feedback with that. And then let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, Heather did ask me to remind everybody that on June the 29th, the Northern Colorado Regional Dancing with the Stars will have a big night.
Oh.
Some of the dancers you probably recognize, Representative Perry Buck, Dave Clark, our own Roy Otto, and Yvonne Myers. So that'll be kind of a fun evening that's coming. If you'd like to go, talk to Heather, because they've reserved a table there. At Windsor, they are responding to the community and growing. The summer enrollment is up considerably. The head count is up 14%. Their full-time enrollment is up 11%. And this is due primarily to increases in automotive, EMT, and advanced EMT. And both Explore Academies are filling up. And if you recall that the Explore Academies are when they bring on the high school young men and women and kind of train them in firefighting and the whole bit. And the men's portion is pretty much already full. It's at 20. The women's is growing. It's at 8, and they anticipate that both are going to be full. So that's going full steam ahead. Fall enrollment is strong, and several of the auto classes are already filled. The full-time new paramedic program is filled, and the part-time year-long program is almost full. And if you remember, this also was a response by Windsor to the community industry that said, hey, we really need these programs to do that. And so you got hats off to the good people at Windsor, the administrators, the faculty, and the staff who worked extremely hard to make this happen in about a year. So that was just very fantastic, great response to the community. Recruiting and admissions, on April 19th, they held their first Discovery Day. They had 98 prospective students here at Greeley, which is just fantastic. And lots of hands-on activities with technical sciences and the skills trades career. And then a big thank you has to go out to the academic folks because it wouldn't have been possible without them. So they just did an outstanding job with that. And we're also thankful for the students and counselors, and they all came and they just said they had a fantastic time. So a very good taste in their mouth as they left. The recruiters are also doing registration days. They've got 7 on the books, and just getting a lot of support with that. And this is our folks working with prospective students to actually register, sign on the dotted line, and get that application in and finished. So just a little help there. Next Thursday, you're going to see about 100 Gear Up students wandering around on campus here. And they're here to prepare to participate in our first summer bridge program. And so they'll have Their days can be filled with interactions with academic advising, the dean of students. They'll have a Title IV briefing, and then they're also going to enjoy a first-year activity and get a nice tour of the campus. So just kind of get them oriented. So that'll be a good thing. And this is the first time that we're going to run this summer bridge program, so we're really looking forward to that. The foundation, they welcomed a new board member, Jim Reisberg, and boy, I tell you, he hit the ground running. So he was, speaking of which, you saw him at the run this last Saturday, and then he's also got a full slate for next week with Celebration Week. So we're just grateful to have him. Thanks for his enthusiasm, and look forward to his support on that board there as well.
He'll be able to help you connect some dots.
Oh, good, good. And then the foundation also received 5 requests for Hanson grants, and the awards will be announced next week. Let's see. Oh, this Friday is the employee giving campaign double up lunch with Dr. B and Artie. So always come. You know,
Awesome.
a dynamic duo for sure. So 18.
Artie's the headliner.
What's that?
Artie's the headliner. Always.
Giving increased this year by 71% overall for
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
that's just
That is-
fantastic. Yeah. And then also, if you'd mark your calendars, please, July the 3rd. July the 3rd is the alumni social at the Stampede. So registration's open, and I'm going to have some more about that in just a minute as well. Governmental affairs, as you know, the legislature ends this Friday, and those men and women have just been busy, busy, busy. You probably heard over the weekend, they had their first legislative session that they'd had in, over 30 years on a Saturday. Yeah, that's just how much stuff they're trying to push through. The educational budget was passed in early April. Some of the Tonette identified a number of educational bills which are on the calendar vote this week, and they'll be voted on if they stop filibustering. So that's just kind of going nuts there. Just a few examples of things that are on the docket to be voted on: college credit for work experience, prevent sexual misconduct at higher ed campuses, and expanding concurrent enrollment opportunities. Some of the ones that are not on the calendar, so that means they get pushed to next year, hopefully. Number 1, financial aid for students with in-state tuition, inquiry into college applicant criminal history, and hemp regulation aligned with the 2018 federal farm bill. So, yeah. Our marketing and communications, I'm really proud of them. As you know, we updated our website back in February. I mentioned that to you, and it made it look all pretty, and it looks fantastic. But what they decided was, like, we need to do a deeper dive into this, and we need to look at the content. We need to look at all the little pieces and parts of it. So being led by Zach McFarland there, he's leading the team, and they're doing, like I said, a very deep dive and just going to examine all of the different pieces that are there. And what they're looking at is a way to optimize the Ames website for web searches. So it pops up on, as one of the first ones on Google and Yahoo and Bing and those types of things. So they're working on that piece as well. And why are they going to do all this? Students. Over 70% of people who are looking to go to college start with the internet. Oh. And so if we can get our thing put together there, that's a huge marketing tool. So again, just very proud of them. It's a great initiative. That's a lot of heavy lifting. So in the weeks and months ahead, you'll see some things starting to change. And then when we get it all pretty and shiny, we'll give you a demonstration. Let's see. Let me look last one thing here. Oh, and the other thing that the marketing team is working on is they're putting into a project management system, and that will help on expedite our customers, if you will, the college community, being able to communicate with them in a timely manner to get things done, so we can just move things back and forth in a good order. So it's a lot more efficient and effective. And then finally, hope you're enjoying your May baskets that you got today.
Oh, is that okay?
We delivered 83 of these to community partners, for instance, like school counselors and clinical sites, businesses, and government partners that are in our service areas here. And I just heard a few comments back from some people already that it's like, boy, that is awesome. No one does these anymore, but we do. And it's just a small way of saying thank you, and we value you for all the work that you do for us. So we're great with that. I'm going to ask Kelly at this time, because I got my homework sheet for you. And Kelly, if you would pass them out at this time. It's short, but it's powerful. So this is for the next 30 to 60 days. So the first thing that I ask you to do is please plan to attend the Bueno Camp reunion on May 11th at the Fort Lupton campus there. And the second thing, plan a destination day. The destination, Loveland. Go to the Loveland campus to enjoy the art exhibit, check out the campus building facelift, and visit with the great people that are there. And then register for the alumni social at the Stampede and on July the 3rd, and you see the link there. And then keep up with us on Facebook. There's a lot of stuff that's just moving and going there, and just take a look at all that we have. Well, that concludes my report. Are there any questions?
Very good. Questions, members?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Timothy.
Dr. Weisgaver, Vice President for Student Engagement, Inclusion, and Success. Would you like to give us some highlights, please?
I would love to give highlights. Good afternoon, Board, Chair Peterson and Dr. Bornstein. I have a few highlights for you today. I'd like to talk a little bit about TRIO, walk us through graduation, but I would be remiss if I didn't give you the 611 and what's happening in the SACE division. And if you looked at the score calendar this month, you saw that it was very short, especially in comparison to previous months. In previous months, we've had, up to 10 pages at times, and today we had around 2 pages. What I found that was interesting about the score calendar that this month is that the majority of the items on the calendar are already working to prepare students for next semester. And so as I think about us coming to an end with commencement and graduation, I also think that there is a beginning happening. And so I thought I would share with you just very quickly a quote from one of my favorite poets named Seamus Heaney. He's an Irish poet. I don't know if you're familiar. And he says, "Since when," he asked, "are the first and last line of any poem where the poem begins and ends?" And I think as we think about what the stories of our students, the stories of our legacy, excellence at Ames folks, this is really just a moment in time, just a snapshot. Last night we attended the TRIO end of year celebration. Thank you, Trustee Ruckel and Hout, for attending. The program sends their deep gratitude for your attendance and continued support. We had 57 TRIO students graduating. 19 of those are graduating and transferring, so they're graduating from Ames and transferring, and 2 of those are only transfer only. In total attendance at the event, we had 131 individuals. 23 of those were TRIO students and participants. 77, which I think is very telling, were friends and family members. Oh, nice. And so when we think about what is the impact we're making, what does that ripple look like, to me, that shows a significant ripple. 31 of those individuals were campus and community partners. We had TRIO programs from UNC. We had Upward Bound programs from UNC. We had folks from all over the community through the whole TRIO pipeline there to support our students in this one moment. It was truly an heartwarming event and a great opportunity to watch our students shine. Speaking of TRIO, I'd like to give you just a quick update on where we are with the grant. We are coming into our 5th year of the grant cycle, which means we are going back into rewrite. TRIO is a federally funded grant program, and we're awarded every 5 years. TRIO has been on the Ames Community College campus for 15 years, so we're going to go for 20. We're expecting the grant to be released in mid-fall, probably October timeframe, with submission in January. We should find out whether we are awarded in spring. Theoretically, most likely it'll be summer. Has been my experience. I will share that we are working with the Nosotros Education Center, who specializes in federal grant writing. In the grant writer's entire career has only lost 2 TRIO grants. So I'm feeling very confident about serving our students moving forward. I also want to talk a little bit about commencement. Graduates participating last month, I told you we were up. I'm excited to say that we are still up right now. We are anticipating 525 students walking in commencement, which is very exciting. Last year we had 407. one of the things I'm very, very excited about and absolutely love, and I think our students will truly appreciate, is we're expecting over 100 faculty to be in attendance at graduation. And so I just want to thank our leadership in academic affairs, Dr. Rothermer and the deans, for their encouragement and support of their faculty, and specifically their support of the students. Let's see, total number of seats available in the Budweiser Event Center is going to be 4,300. We are going to be pushing that. As we speak right now, there's 3,800 programs being printed. When we look at the total number of volunteers, that includes students and employees, we're looking at 55 different individuals from across the college who will be working to make this happen. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing you all there and working with you. On your chairs, I believe, or in front of you, you have packets that Anne has provided you. And in those packets, there should be, sales should have directions for you, a parking pass, and a map. So for those of you who have not been to the BEC, please do take a look. We have special parking for our stage party and our VIP folks, so do take a look at that. Anne is already working on your regalia, and it will be in the green room at the BEC when you arrive at 3 o'clock. What time was that? 3 o'clock. Because at 3 o'clock, we are going to do a walkthrough for the stage party, and so that will help you feel comfortable and to know what your role is as you go through the ceremony. The Board of Trustees will be asking you all to hand the diploma covers to Drs. Bornstein and Rothermer as they shake students' hands. So you will have a presence and a role during the ceremony, and so please be there at 3 o'clock so that we can ensure that you feel comfortable while you're there. There's other pieces that I would just share with you. You'll be in the same green room as you have been in the past. We are trying to cut down on the number of folks in the green room, and so we have green rooms split up into stage party folks and other administrative folks, so that those of you who have speaking to do, our students, Chair Peterson, Dr. Bornstein will have the opportunity to have a little bit more quiet space. And then our administrators, I fully expect to be partying on the other side of the on the other side of the hall. The other thing I would point out to you, and it was in your board packet, is a map. Looks like this. Of the new stage layout. And so you're going to see something a little bit different. And Trustee O'Hara, this probably won't matter to you one way or the other. For the rest of you, I don't want it to throw you off, that we are changing from last year to this year. And so rather than having one single line, as I explained last month, we will have 2 double lines and 2 name readers. And so students are just going to be coming in lickety-split fast. We have 2 name reading teams. Dean Shannon McCaslin and Mario Gonzalez are leading, and I have shared with them that as they work with their faculty colleagues, I am personally going to buy lunch for the team that has the most excitement in their voice as they read names. It'll be an interesting toss-up between Dr. Gonzalez and Shannon McCaslin. To that end, I need to publicly recognize Dean McCaslin for her amazing work this semester. As you all know, last fall, early spring, our Executive Director of Student Activities, Inclusion, and Leadership, Patrick Call, left Ames Community College to pursue his master's degree. In a moment of, okay, we got to get through spring, I asked Dean McCaslin if she would be willing to take on a second job again and be both the Dean of Students and the Executive Director of SAIL. Doing that job during spring semester is incredibly difficult because of commencement. She told me yesterday she has been meeting about commencement daily for about the last month. In addition to that, she's been meaningfully serving students and helping them on their path through conduct issues. She's been a mentor for other members in our division as we're onboarding folks. So I'd just like to thank Shannon for your amazing work, your commitment, and your loyalty. We don't deserve you. And that's all the information I have for today.
Questions? I didn't hear you. What time are we supposed to be there?
3 o'clock. 3 o'clock, sir.
I didn't hear any of the 6 times you already told us.
I know. It's funny how that happens. Thank you for your patience and my pushiness around that.
Super. Thank you.
Yes.
We can handle it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay. Continued president's report. So you have meetings of note in your packet, as well as, well, I guess it's a bit in arrears, my travel for April. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to respond to questions. There is one thing I would like to point out, and it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think, if I'm reading this right, 5th bullet point, the strategic plan retreat that we had, was it a couple weeks ago now? The cabinet and the college council met together and went through every line item from the 2018-2019 initiatives for this year on the strategic plan to talk about where we are with each initiative and its success. And while the numbers are not quite tallied yet because I have been elsewhere, I think we can all agree, and we talked about this sort of at the end, that we were pretty dang impressed with ourselves, I have to say, that the movement and the momentum of this first year is very impressive. The number of report outs for each initiative that said that by June 30th we were going to be 100% complete was really outstanding. I must say, and I know there are folks in the audience, so I'm saying, and you heard me say it before, I'll say it again. I was really quite impressed and not a little bit surprised, not because we're not capable of it, but because it's truly unusual to have that many initiatives fully 100% completed in the first year. So when we talk about this at your retreat in June, I have no doubt that you will also be equally as impressed and proud of your community college and every single employee here, because it truly was a lift by everyone. And it was incredibly impressive. And so I just want you to know that you're going to be excited to hear this at your June retreat. So there's a little teaser for you. And thank you all publicly very much for this outstanding year of the first year of this next 5-year plan. It was amazing and very exciting. So,
Super.
Yeah,
Yep.
wanted to just make that comment. Are there any questions about the meetings or travel?
Nope.
No? Okay, moving forward then, you also have in your packet the employee report. And are there supervisors here with new employees that you would like to introduce? Please raise your hand. Okay, let's go from left to right. Is that Jody? Jody, want to start there? Okay. I'm sorry, Jody, can you repeat that? You were looking at her and we couldn't hear what she does.
She served in an advising and career services capacity at Montana State, and we are very excited to have her. She has events experience and has worked across the campus, and she will be a perfect addition to Ames and to the recruitment team.
Wonderful. Welcome.
Great.
Okay, there was a hand in the middle. Yes, thank you.
The academic advising team is elated to introduce Haley Call, not a new face, but new to our team, as our new senior advisor for art, social sciences, and design. We are elated to have her. She's originally from New Mexico. She holds her bachelor's degree in political science and her master's degree in communications from the University of Northern Colorado. She worked at the University of Northern Colorado in both the arts and humanities and social sciences dean's office, as well as in admissions, as both a counselor and a program coordinator for events there. She also was formerly our foundation alumni coordinator. Sorry, and she's thrilled to be a part of our team so that she can have more one-on-one contact with students, and we're absolutely elated to have her on our team.
Great. Thank you, Lily.
I'd like to introduce you to Stacy Sharp. She joined us on April 1st as the assistant registrar. She's very excited to get back to her community college roots. She spent 14 years at UNC and served as the assistant registrar there for 7 years. She also currently serves on the board of the Rocky Mountain Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers. She grew up in Meade, attended Otero Junior College, where she played basketball, earned her Associate of Science degree, and met her husband. She then transferred to UNC and earned her Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. Stacy and her husband Brad have 2 sons, and they live in Eden.
Welcome.
Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome Peter Plankus to the Arts and Sciences Division. He started recently as our Senior Lab Coordinator over in the Allied Health Building. He comes to us as another UNC grad with a bachelor's degree in biology. He has 6 years of industry experience as a lab coordinator, and most recently was the lab manager for a trade meet in East Chicago, Indiana. I recently had a chance to take a look at our lab space, and Peter's had a chance to really revitalize that already. Faculty have commented on how organized and how welcoming the space is, and we're just really excited to have him. So, Peter.
Welcome. Any other supervisor that we missed? No? No.
You know,
Okay.
I just think it's really wonderful to see how many people from 4-year institutions want to make a step up and they come to Ames. Isn't it
Very
great?
good.
Huh? Yeah.
Chair Peterson and board, that concludes the president's report.
Okay, thank you, Dr. B. Action items, number 8 on our agenda.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I stand before you as co-chair of the faculty consultation agreement. I've asked Gina Jones, she is the faculty co-chair of that committee, to dual present this action item to you. Each year, in accordance with policy 4-705, consultations are held between representatives from the Ames Faculty Association and college administration to address matters related to specific conditions of employment. So you have before you the memorandum that was drafted that resulted in the work from the consultation. It talks about our salary increases, our benefit increase, or our benefit payments, or how we pay for benefits, contract days, and then return date and end date for faculty. We also make note in there that the consultation team began work this year on working on the faculty evaluation and observation tool. There was a pilot project that was implemented, and we'll take that work and then work on that again next year in consultation. And I'll ask Gina for some comments on that as we go forth on this action item. So that's the extent of the memorandum. The fiscal impact was talked about in our salary increases that Dee presented and the board approved last meeting. And so again, the administrative recommendation is for the approval of the board. So I'll turn it over to Gina for comments from the faculty side.
Thank you. As Chuck said, we meet at least monthly and discuss anything that has to do with working conditions and full-time faculty. And through our consultation, we did develop this agreement. It went out to faculty for a vote, and I do not know the number of faculty members that voted, but it was unanimously agreed on and then carried forward to you.
Super.
Okay. So again, our recommendation is for the board to approve this action item 8A.
Okay, members, you have before you action item 8A. Is there a motion to approve?
I would so move.
Thank you, Lyle. Is there a second?
Second.
Both of you, thank you.
Third.
Third, okay. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of action item 8A indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. That motion is carried.
Thank you.
Action 8B now.
All right, I'll just keep rolling.
Yeah, you're on a roll, don't quit.
Chairman Peterson, members of the board, stand before you with agenda item 8B, which is the fiscal year 1920 budget. Each year, of course, at the May meeting, the Board of Trustees approves next year's budget. As we talk about the budget, I just want to send out a couple thank yous, of course, to the fiscal team of Kaylee, Kara, and Tina, and all the department staff that helped put this budget together. A lot of work goes into this. This is a culmination of a lot of work for the board, too. This process began in November, and so many work sessions later, here we are at the culmination of that at the May meeting with the approval for the board. I do want to make note to the board that since I presented the budget to you at the April work session, no changes have been made to any of the numbers. So what you have before you to approve is what was presented to you in April. And so I stand before you with a $125,889,088 budget for next year. And administrative recommendation is for approval. So I will stand for any questions.
Okay, there is a recommendation that we adopt item 8B, the budget for the fiscal year 2019-2020. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Gina. Is there a second one?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion is carried.
Thank you.
8C.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, stand before you for action or agenda item 8C. This is the appropriations approval. Per CRS 22-44-103, the Board of Trustees shall approve an appropriation for each fiscal year. And again, the appropriation that I'm asking for mirrors the total budget of $125,889,088. And so administrative recommendation is for approval by the board of this statutorily required action item.
I would move for approval of action item 8C.
Thank you, Gene. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Carol. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion is carried.
That concludes my action items. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jensen. Let's see, who do we have now?
Russ.
Russ. Russ.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Rothheimer. I lost my place on that. Sorry.
That's right. Thank you, Chair Peterson, members of the board. Again, in response to a request by our high school partners, we are requesting approval of a new certificate, which is a combination of 2 existing courses, print, reading, and construction materials and systems. This 6-credit certificate will facilitate a stepped progression towards a construction management degree and also be available to our high school partners via the concurrent enrollment program. There is no fiscal impact as these are a combination of existing courses, and the administrative recommendation is for approval of the new construction management certificate, construction fundamentals.
Okay, members, you've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
Also move.
Thank you, Lyle. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Gene. Any discussion?
One question. I assume this is going to be available only on the Greeley campus, is that correct?
It's available through concurrent enrollment, so we'll be able to do it in our high schools because it was a request for high school, from our high school partners.
Okay. So this is concurrent, this is not...
We'll be able to do that certificate here, too. While it was a request from our high school partners, it'll be a certificate that's available for anyone who completes these 2 courses.
Okay.
So it could be someone on campus.
Yes, sir.
Could be
Get the same
available
thing.
for-
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You're just putting it into the system.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion is carried. Okay, what do we go now? D, you're on.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. I'm here to present agenda item 8E, The request is to repeal pre-retirement plan, third time's a charmer, plan policy 4-502. This policy is part of our strategic tactic, line 34, updating our policies and procedures. This policy contains outdated language that does not reflect current options and is more appropriate as guidance to offer prospective retirees than as an official college policy. Administrative recommendation is a motion to repeal pre-retirement plan policy 4-502.
Okay, members, you've heard the suggestion. Is there or the recommendation? Is there a motion to approve?
I move we repeal pre-retirement plan policy 4-502.
Thank you, Carol. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Lyle. Any discussion? Hearing none.
Yeah,
Oops, go ahead.
how will this be available to employees if it's not in a policy?
Our pre-retirement options through PARA are an employee right, so just like unemployment or workers' comp, so it's something that cannot be taken away from them.
But how will they learn about it if it's not written down as a policy?
We provide information sessions throughout the year.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion is carried. Katie?
Yes.
Okay.
I have agenda item 8F. This request is to repeal Ames UNC Tuition Grants Exchange Program Policy 5-1105. This is part of our strategic tactics for line 34. Ames rescinded the agreement underlying this policy with UNC beginning fall 2010. Additionally, Ames policy 4-1525, employee tuition waiver and reimbursement, has replaced policy 5-1105. The administrative recommendation is to repeal Ames UNC Tuition Grants Exchange Program policy 5-1105.
Okay, thank you. There's a recommendation that we approve. Action item 8F. Is there a motion to do so?
I would make a motion that we repeal Ames UNC Tuition Grant Exchange Program Policy 5-1105.
Thank you, Gene. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, Carol. Discussion. I would just like to comment, I think that this policy's been on the books for 100 years or something, and
Feels like it, yes.
yeah, and it's never been used, and UNC doesn't do anything on their end, so.
Right. It was used in the past, but since we replaced the tuition waiver policy, and then UNC also discontinued that option about around that same time.
Okay. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion has carried. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. Now, before we get into the information items, we're going to backtrack just a little bit here and allow Dr. B some time to correct her mistake.
Yeah.
Correct what I forgot to do.
Yeah,
So
I forgot to say something during President's report, and it's a big forget, so
Yes.
My apologies. So I asked Dee to stand up there because we have big, exciting news, and I want Dee to present it. Go for it.
I am pleased to announce that tonight, Ames Community College, for the second year in a row, will be honored with the 2019 Top Workplace Award.
Super, great. Yeah.
So you may recall that this is an employee engagement survey that
Yes.
was conducted.
Back in November, and so as a result of the survey, we are getting this honor tonight. So it's exciting news to be named a top workplace for a second year in a row.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dee. See, so that's a big thing to forget. My apologies.
Well, once again, that just shows the excellence of our staff and faculty and everybody involved. So we're very proud, for sure. Okay, information items, correspondence. I think we have one letter. Dr. B?
It's basically, whoa. Sorry. I just got jumped out. Okay, here it is. It's a letter from a woman's place, and it's to the college to thank Ames Community College for the generous support that students and staff provided to a woman's place last month during an event on behalf of a woman's place, and the mentorship and partnership of Janet Chase, Director of Student Activities. You have it fully there if you want to read the whole letter, but it's certainly a thank you to specific employees, Janet Chase, and thank you to Ames Community College for the support and partnership that we give a woman's place.
Very good. Once again, that's great to hear. I'm glad they appreciate it. Board calendar, members, we have one item that has slipped through the cracks, I guess, or was just announced, I guess, is what it amounts to, and that's this early childhood recognition ceremony, which is Thursday the 9th. So if it's at here at Beatty Hall, and I don't even see a time.
It's 6.
Where is it?
It's at 6.
Oh, it's 6. Okay, I got it.
Which
I'm sorry.
unfortunately is the same time as the nurse pinning ceremony, so
Yeah, right.
we'll have to
There's-
split ourselves up.
I think we could end up with lots of duplicates next week. So anyway, Carol, good idea. If we can split ourselves up and make as many of the events as what we can. So anyway, put that on your calendar and we'll see what happens. Anything else for the calendar that's not there?
Well, if you look at Saturday, the 11th, you could go to the Fire Academy graduation at 1, then race down to Fort Lupton for the Bueno Camp reunion, and then run back up to Windsor at 5 for the Police Academy graduation, which I will be doing.
So we'll stay out of your way.
Clear Highway 60 because I'll be.
Highway 60, that's what I was
That's
gonna
right.
And that also conflicts with a niece's graduation in Chadna, Nebraska. So,
Good luck. Okay.
yeah, I'm going to have to clown myself, I guess. So, anything else? Okay, moving right along. As per policy 1301, whatever it is, there is an opportunity for the president of the faculty association to meet with, I'm not sure whether it says a board member or whether it's president of the board, but it is, that opportunity is given, and as of last Tuesday, I think it was, I met with Allison, had a nice conversation. We talked about lots of things that are going on. She certainly reiterated some of the accomplishments and et cetera that the staff is doing, and it was just a very pleasant opportunity for me to hear, more of a, I guess you could say, an inside story or something like that. And at the end, she said, well, we did a survey and asked all of our members to just, off the top of their head, write down what they like about Ames Community College. And members, you will find that what they said, what the faculty said in response to that. And she gave that to me, and I looked it over, and I said, you know what, the board's got to see this. And I just really believe that it's another indication of our great staff. And it would sound to me at least for those that answered it, that everybody is pretty well satisfied. And for behalf of the board, I'd say, and I told her, I just think that's wonderful. And we do the best we can to keep up that. And, you know, that's part of our job. And we're just glad that it's going down the ranks and finding where it's supposed to be. So members, take a look at it. If you see anything there that you'd like to comment on or whatever, I guess do so. I'm sorry, what?
Allison is still here in case.
Oh, she is? Okay. Oh, I didn't see her. Where is she?
Hiding in the back.
Ah.
There she be.
Okay. Allison, would you like to make a comment?
These were comments that we collected at 1 AFA meeting, so it wasn't even like a survey that went to everyone. It was probably
Oh, okay. All right.
people that came to an AFA meeting and wanted to share the things that they really love about teaching at Ames. And you can see the themes for students came up many times.
Right.
Colleagues and people that we work with, and then just the resources and initiatives here people commented on. They felt that if they had a need, that it was fulfilled here, and that there were always resources available for them as well.
Okay, very good. I thought it was interesting to see several of them mention, well, the support and help I get from my dean. And I thought, that's really good. It's a great relationship. So, members, anything? Okay, then reports, comments from the board. That's my comment. So, there was something else I was going to comment on. Okay. Anybody else want to jump in there?
All right, is this the time to talk?
Yeah, that's your turn to talk.
It's your turn, Martin.
Don't take too long.
Don't take, do I get 3 minutes? How much I got?
You get
10?
3 minutes, yeah.
3 minutes. I want to thank everybody for a great year. I mean, as things wind down and we head into the summer months, we've all participated together, and properly so we build our futures together, which is kind of neat. And the inspiration that you give me as a board member, and I'm sure the rest of us, I can speak for all of us, is exciting. So it's, I just want to thank you for what you give to the college and what you give to this community, because if we didn't have this community, we wouldn't have a college. You know, and when you think about the processes that happened, 50 plus years ago to develop what we have, and then find ourselves in this amount of wealth and capability, it's humbling, really, really so. We work together to feed our families, protect our homes. You know, April 15th, the homeless shelter shut down as far as the cold weather shelter. And so there's people that have been going through these storms outside in the last 20 days, all by themselves. Last January, I might take more than 3. Last January, I went to the UNC ballroom for a breakfast buffet. Everybody been to the UNC ballroom, kind of? It was full. It was full of RSVP volunteers. That group's homeless right now. They really don't have a place to operate from. And I don't know if this college can help. There's some ways yes and some ways no. They were at UNC. They didn't even have an MOU. They just was there. Somebody started it 50 years ago or 46 years ago, and they've just been carrying through. If you can help me, I have ideas that are starting to trickle in that don't really include the college. But we need to figure out, we got a lot of great minds here. If you have some ideas that you could suggest, underwriting is going to be important for the next 6 months. They got $4,000 in the bank, and they got $1,000 a month rent. It's discouraging to some extent that they found themselves in that position. But they're doing a good thing. There's 736 cheerleaders out there. However you can help, email me some suggestions. I would be very appreciative of it. We'll make something happen. There's some private donors out there that possibly are willing to step up, get them to the point where they can get into their grant writing mode again. Right now, they can't even fund themselves through our grant writing program because they don't have a home. They need an entity, and that's what they were hoping from us. But I'm okay with us not doing it. I'd like to have all the reasons, but we'll work on that. But the long and short, if anybody has some ideas how we can support this organization, because we're all getting old. Sooner or later, we might need that hand. But thank you for a great year. I am wearing a T-shirt and proud. I'll tell you the story about this. I think is ancient. It could be nearly 50 years old. No, I don't think it's that long. But I found it at the with Timothy at the Ames, or not the Evans Chamber last March, and I immediately put $40. I got it for $40. I think it's priceless. Hey, I think it's priceless. But thanks again for a great year. You guys are wonderful. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I would agree, thank you, that it has been a wonderful year. Is Julie Lucan Gay? Yeah, Fort Lupton campus director, was recognized by CU Boulder as the outstanding Colorado Community College educator. So another kudo for us. Thank you, Julie. I want to thank Janet Chase, and we've certainly heard her name a number of times today. She was responsible for the lunch today, by the way. Janet Chase and Patty Schultz for their work with the Holocaust Awareness Week. Their website was housed at Ames. It was it made me very proud to see that. Wonderful events all week. Thank you for everybody who was part of that. The Unity Project was fun. The week of Spring Out. If you haven't done that, trustees, watch for it next year, because it's really a fascinating thing to do and watch develop. Some reading for you. The new Ames Review is out. I hope we can get copies for the other trustees of that. Really some wonderful work in that. And the book that was announced for next year, Evicted, I'm about halfway through it, and it's kind of tough reading, but I hope that you will read it. That is the campus read for next year, about the cycle of poverty and having to rent and being evicted. So some very interesting stories in that, and I would encourage all of you, you'll get a copy of it pretty soon from the college, and in a few weeks you can borrow it from the library, from the Weld County Library, but I have it right now. And nobody's waiting for it, so I was able to renew it, but I will finish it and get it back to them so it's available for you. But it's an important piece, I think, for the trustees to read what the college is reading and know what the discussions are that are going on through the year. So thank you. Everybody have a wonderful summer.
Gene, Lyle?
Well, I'll just add how impressive it is to hear about the continued growth in the product that you provide to students and the value that you provide to this community. And yes, this community provides a lot of support to Ames, but they get pretty good value for the support that they provide here. Keep up the great work, and it was a great year.
Wow.
Oh, thank you. Well, another graduation is coming up, the culmination of another year. A lot of hard work on the part of all of you, all of our students, everybody here. I think it's another time to celebrate. It's kind of my favorite time of year to watch all this come together and wish our students well as they go on to the next phase of their life, if you will, and we bring another group in and start all over again, and what fun it is. But so very proud again to be part of this organization, to see all of the accomplishments we've made, to hear the reports on Ames College being recognized nationally, and it's just absolutely incredible. So thank you all. Again, I love hearing the excellence at Ames that we do at the start of every meeting, and today we heard from Greg and Linda, but it occurred to me the title of that, Excellent at Ames, and it's like, well, it doesn't stop, because the whole rest of the meeting is excellent at Ames. So, so I thought that was kind of an observation. But thank you again, and congratulations on another graduation, another great year. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, members. I just had I knew I wanted to say something else, but I say often, I'm really disappointed when I pick up the Tribune and there's nothing about Ames. I think, what happened, what went wrong, because just about every day there's something in there. And the thing I want to mention is that the auto, what do we call it, repair, anyway, whatever Fred Brown does out there.
We're all wondering.
Yeah, right, yeah. Well, read the Tribune, you'll find out. So, but seriously, once again, they scored very well, brought home several medals from this USA
Skills
contest, which was held in Denver. So it's just, again, great to hear what this institution and its students and staff accomplishes. So, okay, members, now we get to that point where you want to comment on the meeting itself. How did we do? Everybody happy?
Yeah, we did great.
Everybody got to talk when they wanted to?
How'd we do, everybody?
All right, hey, good idea.
There you go.
They're just happy we passed the budget. That's,
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah. Now, if we hadn't, what do you suppose they'd have done?
They might have.
Okay, with nothing further, the meeting is adjourned.